You're right, Gangrene UK. You're joining us for episode 31, and we're going to do a game review of, if you can call it a game, the Buffalo Bills at New York. That was on Sunday. So I'm joined by Kane and James. So Kane, how are you feeling?
we we kind of called it.
Yeah, we did. What about you, James? How are you feeling?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to be that bad. I don't think any of us want the Jets to fail, but I think he didn't throw a pass over 15 yards in that win against the Bengals, and when he had to throw the deep pass, he couldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, he was throwing ducks, you know.
Right, so we look at it, right? We've already said we called it. Now, let's start with: did the game go plan-wise the way you thought? Did we play the way that you thought we were going to play? Like, although we didn't execute it, did we try and play the way that you thought it was going to go?
Defense didn't really step up all. Like, I know it's hard to stop Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, but just nothing. We stopped the run, I think, for the most of the game. That's about it. And then offense, like, we knew that Mike White just throws the short passes. He can't throw deep for some reason. Or that's just the game plan, I don't know.
Yeah, or we haven't seen him throw deep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've seen him throw two and one or two intercepted. So.
What about you, James? What did you see in the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, our offense obviously wasn't really doing anything, and I think the game really fell apart in the last 2 minutes of the first half. You know, if we don't, like, we're only, I think we're down by 7 points then, and if we don't give up that score on the end and they don't get the ball back at the start of the second half, like, the game was kind of lost in those. That's where a lot of the games are lost in the NFL now, it seems, in the middle of the game. And yeah, maybe the defense was tired, but it gave it up, and then came out in the second start and just ran it down for another one. So yeah, just there's not a lot to say, is it?
Yeah, I mean, this was always going to be a difficult chat, and I think we knew this last week. I said it last week. We all said it, really. Nobody wants to play Buffalo when they get embarrassed a week earlier, because they had a point to prove. But if you just looked at numbers, if you didn't watch this game, right, and you didn't see the score, right, they had 26 first downs, we had 22, right? We had 70 total plays. They had 54. Right, our total drives, we had 12, they had 13. Right, our passing yards were 296, theirs were 350. Right, this is not a blowout when you just look at them numbers. It's not until you get down to kind of the nitty gritty and you look into it where they doubled us on rushing. They got 10 rushing first downs. I think we got 4. Yeah. Right, but it all comes down to me to 2 parts: stupid penalties and terrible turnovers.
Yeah.
Like, we turned the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions and 1 fumble. The fumble was awful.
Yep. That was a killer. That kind of completely.
We just had a bit of steam going. Corey Davis, I mean, I get what he did. But he was already 3 yards past the first down. It was already a great play. And I get that you want to extend and get them yards, but sometimes you've just got to take what you've got in front of you. Yeah. But it was a great punch out by the defender. So I can't go against that.
Yeah, not great.
But I mean, the second play, like our second drive of the game, interception. Then we held them to a field goal on it, but they already had a touchdown up on us. So we're on the field twice. They're on the field twice. They come off with 10. We come off with 0. And that I think has been the story of the season.
That's where that's why we lose it. That's what James just said.
And 14 points in the fourth is too little, too late.
Mm. That's a garbage time. Like.
It's what the last game was, really, wasn't it? Where we got the stats.
Yeah, but I mean, did you take any positives away from it? Did you see anything positive?
Michael Carter for me. I know it's probably talk about him every week, but I think he might be one of the bright spots all season. He's just so good in the catch.
I mean, he's very good. It was one of his worst games, if we're being honest.
Yeah, definitely. Wasn't
they shut the run down so well. But, I mean, he did kind of he always steps up in the receiving game as well. So he got his touchdown, lost his touchdown, then got his touchdown again. Well deserved. I think we are clinging on to Carter a bit, but justifiably, because he is one of the only bright sparks. Any bright sparks for you, Kane?
AVT and Michael Carter. And Elijah Moore got another touchdown. So
yeah, a garbage time one, but it was a good play.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that play because he showed that kind of sharp cut inside.
Yeah.
A nice bit of speed, but then that second cut to go into the end zone. He did 5 yards in about 0.2 of a second. Like, it was a blink and it was gone.
Yeah.
I wish we could get him in that position early.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Him one-on-one on the edge, like a cornerback, he makes him drop like that. It's 40, 50 yards, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think that's the issue for me, is that we seem to do really well at certain points. But at the minute, it's becoming biased towards the naysayers because it's coming in garbage time when they go, well, it didn't really matter, did it? Like, they didn't take the foot off the gas. They wanted to stomp us because they'd been stomped the week before. Yeah. Like, I know they only had conceded 9 the week before, but it was against what I would class as a worse team than us with the Jags, because they've got almost weaker sections than we do. Yeah, I mean, we're decimated with injury at the minute, but God, they're not, and they're still bad. So there's some solace there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mike goes out with an injury. I mean, we'll talk about Mike now. I was going to leave him till the end. Right. Kane, quick thoughts on Mike White on that game?
He went up against the best defense in the NFL, but still didn't show anything.
Fair. James?
Yes, and the thoughts. I think they had a plan for him. They weren't going to allow the short pass. Asked him to throw intermediate to deep, and it couldn't be done. Maybe I think he's still a serviceable backup, but you don't give up on the rookie yet after a performance like that. Yeah.
He got flummoxed really badly as well.
Sorry.
He got really flummoxed and like panicky after his first pick. You could see it every time he went back in, he was like panicking.
I think we saw the human side of Mike White. Now, I don't think he played terrible. I think he made some very bad decisions. But obviously, we all know where we all stand on Mike White. I think we saw that he is very good at giving us yards. He's very good in certain situations. He's a situational quarterback where if you can play the dump off, he's brilliant. Yeah. But, I mean, he still put up 251 yards with 4 interceptions. He was sacked twice, I think. But his QBR rating was 27.7. That's worse than Sam Darnold ever had. Right? Against a Bills team that on defense were pretty solid. But 3 of the picks were bad decisions.
Yeah.
These weren't tipped passes like last time, where you can kind of, where we all hold our hands up. If it's a tip, you know what? It's luck. Either way, good or bad luck. 2 of these were bad. They were just thrown completely to in the wrong area. I mean, that one where the cornerback faked out and then just ran in front and took it. I think it was the 3rd one. Like, man, even I knew where that was going.
Is that the one where the receiver was covered and then there was another? I think it's the safety or the cornerback. It was like there, and he just ran in front of the ball.
Yeah. So I think, yeah. I mean, you look at it and you go, you know what? Mike White is not a bust.
No.
Because it doesn't matter who we had playing in that game. They were prepared to cut that pass the way that we've been playing. But they completely changed what they do to beat us because they could, because their team is so solid, so used to playing together that they can go, you know what, guys, today what we're going to do is instead of sitting back 5, we're going to move forward 2, and then we're just going to press when we need to. And they absolutely did it. And yeah, we just look at it and go, yeah, we got done.
Again, like, as we said, the second game, they've got tape on him now. They know what he does, they know what he's about, and short throws.
And it's the same with all quarterbacks. It's the same with Zach. It's the same with Flacco. When you've got tape on somebody, they're easier to plan for. Yeah. And it sounds awful to say, but when they're a little bit one-dimensional, it becomes easier to plan for. Now, a lot of people go, oh yeah, but it's not the case from Mac Jones, the Patriots. But you've also got to think that Patriots O-line is pretty solid. They've got 2 absolutely incredible tight ends that make so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best coach in NFL history.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's a funny one, right? Mike White, if we have to play with Mike White for the next 3 weeks, you know what? So be it. Mike White, he's a member of the Jets. We wish him all the success in the world. But if Zach is fit, you have to give Zach a chance to see if having Beck on the touchline, having LaFleur in the booth, doing this kind of short pass, run options, and this run game kind of alteration with them outside, we have to give him a chance on that. Now,
Zach just tried to make the big plays all the time.
And I think he's learned now, looking at what's happened over the last 3 games, what he can do better. Yeah. Now, when you look at our schedule going forward now, if you wanted to try things with Zach, where we're at now, this is the perfect time to do it. We've got Miami at home, then we're away to Houston, then we've got Philly at home, the Saints at home, and then we're at Miami, then we've got the Jags. So in them, really, the Eagles and the Saints, they're kind of like ones, they're coming back into their stride.
Yeah.
But the Texans and the Dolphins are still a little bit up in the air. We've got the Dolphins twice, and then the Jags. Now, the Jags for me is a must-win game. We have to beat the Jags. It's the only one where I say that is a must-win.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to be one of them games where there's going to be so much talk about it as well, because it's Lawrence versus.
But it's that thing. Both got rookie quarterbacks, both in a rebuild, both got new NFL coaches first year in position where they are now.
Yeah.
Albeit I would rather have ours than theirs. But that one for me, it's the only one where you can look at and go, that is a must win.
Yeah.
Now, what was that? Sorry?
I don't see Miami as a hard team to beat either.
No, Tua is going to play as well, who look great, if we're honest. You know,
if you contain Waddle, and Gesicki, that's it.
Now, see, the big thing for me, when we play Miami, we're going to see that obviously off the edge, it's going to be totally different because obviously you want to go for the QB's blind side.
Yeah.
two is a lefty. So everything's reversed. So we'll either see Franklin Myers come completely into his own and murder somebody, or we're going to see, whoever we've got rotational on the other side next week. I don't even know who's fit anymore. But their line is kind of the ideal line for us to try and show that we have got that defensive front. Because
they need to put in a better showing after.
Yeah,
didn't they?
And I think like I said, this stretch of games, as long as we don't lose it, we lost that game the other night.
Yeah.
We threw, with five turnovers, but they scored off every one of them. I've said this multiple times when we threw them against the Patriots, but they only scored 7 points off 4.
Mm.
They scored probably better part of 30 points.
Yeah.
You can't give that away.
We literally threw the game away.
I like that one. Now, Flacco came in, did Flacco things.
Yep.
I still don't think... Well, he probably will, because I think Mike's probably still going to be out.
Mm.
But I would like to see it being Zach and Mike again.
I want Josh Johnson, I did.
Yeah, I think Josh is kind of he's always just going to be in the background.
Yeah, sadly.
But
He looked good.
But now we've got 4 quarterbacks that all 4 of them can go in, and we know they can deliver yards. And then we have these elite wide receivers. I mean, I think it's a stretch at the minute to call them elite.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Corey Davis seems to pull yards out of his ass because you never see him catch. But then, 5 receptions, 93 yards, average 18.68, and his longest was 28 yards, and you're like, what? But 5 receptions off 7 targets. I felt like he dropped about 10 the other night.
Yeah, it didn't feel like 97, did it? 93. So
yeah.
We're still missing that wide receiver one, and they need to utilize Elijah more like they should.
Well, yeah, I mean, his stats were okay. 6 targets, 3 receptions, 44 yards, 14.7 average, 1 touchdown, and his longest was 25.
Yeah. I'm sure Glenn targets, one was at his feet, one was over his head, and one was an interception.
Yeah, but then that again, is that down to him or is it down to the quarterback? But Crowder was a bit non-existent.
Mm.
He made some okay plays in the second half. Braxton Berrios was quiet for him. Keelan Cole was a bit quiet.
Trick play, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you kind of go, actually, Carter and Johnson are doing more than our 3, 4, and 5th wide receiver, which I'm fine with if we're getting the yards, which we are putting up yards. But what do we have to change in our styling? Because Corey Davis isn't getting the ball because Corey Davis is our number 1 wide receiver. But we don't use anybody enough to be number 2. Where then all of a sudden you get the imbalance by having 2 of them being covered. And then that frees up Elijah Moore or Crowder.
What is he going to say, John?
No, I was just saying, but no one stepped up, have they, into that really number 2 role? And I think you have got a point. I think a lot of these receivers would start on other teams or at least get quite a lot of snaps. So I don't see how no one stepped up yet, to be fair.
I think since the play calling change, and we haven't seen it with Zach, have we? Zach's got the deep threat. So that might add something to it.
I mean, the thought of Elijah Moore and Corey Davis both going deep should be terrifying for some defenses because there ain't many safeties out there that can keep up with them.
We still need that big-bodied wide receiver, the tall guy that can just push people off.
Unless it's meant to be Mims. who's non-COVID illness again, which I still think this is down to him being ill pre-season and the weight loss.
Yeah.
I still think he's struggling to get back up to game weight or to get up to that fitness of playing with that body.
Physicality.
Well, yeah, I think in total he lost something like 12 to 14 pounds in a week. That's a stone.
Jesus.
Like, I'd have to lob off half a leg.
Yeah.
I can't afford to lose half a leg.
Run on marathon, mate.
So it's one of them where you look at it and go, you know what? If Mims is struggling with his health, we're doing the right thing, giving him minimal snaps, letting him get back up. But we're not putting it out there that he is struggling with his health. I mean, it's not dangerous to play like that, but the kid's getting hit a lot. Yeah. You lose a bit of your cushion and you get hit. It's going to hurt. Yeah. Now, defense, we mentioned that they didn't show up. Right. Kane, give me your thoughts on defense.
Hall is probably the best player. That's it. We just let them walk through us basically the whole game.
Right, James, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty similar, to be honest. They wanted to get their run game going, and unfortunately, they got it going on us before rushing touchdowns. One more negative is I just don't see why you continue to go one-on-one with Diggs through the second half, because it wasn't working and they were kind of bullying that matchup. But get our first interception from a DV. It's one positive. We're always looking for the positive. So.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you saw the presser with Salah when he talked about this, and one of the beat reporters asked why we didn't alter the system and put our strongest cornerback just tracking Diggs. He went, well, that's not the way we play. We play with a hybrid of zone and man. He went, but then if you've got one man covering one man, that changes all the zones.
Yeah.
He went, so it makes it lopsided. He went, so the way we play it is like that. He went, it didn't work. And he held his hand, it didn't work. He went, but we're not going to change that. We're going to adapt that. So now I'm kind of thinking, this system's not going to change, but I think some of the personnel are either going to have to step up or step out. Now, CJ, seven total tackles, 5 solo. I think, you know what? That's not bad for such a bad game.
He had to make them tackles because nobody else was.
Well, yeah.
It was last man even before the safeties, because I don't even know where the safeties were.
I mean, to be fair, Ashton Davis, again, put in high tackles. I mean, five total, 4 solo, but he did do some that would have been even longer, maybe scores again.
Yeah,
a lot more effort than a lot of other players out there.
Yeah, Ashton Davis needs that veteran presence of going, you know what, mate, run over there. He's missing Marcus May so much.
I think he's a backup at best, but
yeah, backup and situational.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. The stats don't tell me if his tackles were on special teams, because there might have been. Because Elijah Moore's tackles on there, which was special teams. Now, I agree with Hall. I think Hall's been very good, although a bit quiet in the last couple of games. But that thing again, he's kind of getting knotted up. But in his position, you don't mind, because at least when he's not getting talked about, you know they're not thrown to him.
Yep. If we got another cornerback one with Hull, that'd be beautiful.
Well, yeah, and he's only 24. He's a 5th round pick. Like, just the fact that he's even putting stats up where it's kind of getting to the point where we're looking at him going, you know what? He's a good cornerback.
Yep.
We've got to be happy with that. I think the D-line's getting some harsh criticism. I don't like this alternating every other play.
Yeah.
No.
I would rather us kind of, yes, I understand we have to, depending on pass coverage and run stop. I would just rather us, for one game, kind of keep it quite solid and just go after the quarterback.
Yeah.
We know Tua gets scared if you get through.
Yeah. It's going to be a key to the game, isn't it? Pressure on Tua, and we need to maybe just keep those boys in, see if they can handle the run a bit. But yeah, I think pass rush all day is going to be the key.
Yeah, I mean, there was other players that didn't stand out, but I don't really want to focus on them because let's face it was a terrible game. It was a terrible game on both sides of the ball because everybody expected 500 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 2 fired out of his ass, which was never going to happen, not against that defense. We scored points, well, more points than some big teams that have played the Bills. I think I put them in a chat the other night. We outscored a lot of teams. I think there's only 3 teams that put more points on the Bills than what we did.
Texans got shut out, I do believe.
Yeah. Jags only got 9. I think the Dolphins in 2 games only got 12.
Mm.
So you're like we can't. We were still doing things. We were just doing them too late.
There was that thing as well with the defense that Fraser said that the 3-game span of division was the worst in franchise history for how many yards.
Yeah. Now
NFL history, I believe it was.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
that's that other one as well. Of though, like when Salah first went to San Fran, at the end of halfway through the first year, they wanted him gone because his defense didn't make sense. Now, I think give him another draft, let him kind of put in his pieces. All of a sudden, get them fit. Like it would be nice just to have our starting defense out once. It's not going to happen, but like you think we've lost probably 4 of our key pieces this year so far in defense.
Is Jonathan Marshall playing or is he still injured?
I don't know. I haven't seen him on any of his stat sheets. So I would imagine he's not playing.
Our rookie DT, isn't it?
Yeah. I've not seen any stats on him.
It didn't register assist or tackle, so
No.
probably wasn't right on Sunday.
We did break the line a couple of times, so you might have thought he might have got something. Now, another positive. I've just thought Amendola, 100%, 48 yards, like
middle.
Yeah, and 2 extra points. You know what? He seems to be kind of settling out now.
Yeah, he looked good.
And 48's one of his longer ones, which props to him. Because 2 weeks ago we were like, probably looking for another job. Brady Mann as well. His punts were good.
Yeah.
I mean, his longest was 46. But he got 1 inside the 20, and let's face it, we were punting from our own 10 twice.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I think we're all in agreement. It's a poor game. Wasn't massively unexpected, although defense was pretty abysmal. I think you take away the 5 turnovers, maybe a couple of the injuries on defense, all of a sudden that game's a little bit different. Would they have still scored? Absolutely. I mean, I think I looked at it second half, every time they touched the ball, apart from once, they scored.
Yeah, that's when it turned in the second half, when it was just filled.
They were scoring for fun.
Were they? You know?
So, as we always do, guys, we're going into Dolphins. What we saying result-wise, or what we expecting to see, James?
Well, yeah. I suppose Dolphins, I don't know, kind of similar to us after with that one game. It was 2015 when we won game off the playoffs with the Bills, and then had a bit of a letdown. Next year they've been that this season, not really been impressive. You know, I think the games you go in confident to are the ones we don't do too well in. So I don't know. Anxious about it, I'll say that.
Anxious?
Yeah.
What about you, Kane?
I'm excited to see Pinnock if he gets in. Excited to see Yabara if he gets in. Excited to have Zach back if he gets in. And I think we can win this if Zach comes back. And I'm going to say 28-21.
7-point swing. Now, I'm going to go on a bit of superstition of we beat the Bengals the week after they beat the Ravens, totally against the thread of the game. Dolphins beat the Ravens against the thread of the game last week. So you know what? I'm going to take us as a win. I'm going to say by 10 points, but I'm not going to say pointage because it all depends on. I think if we go with Flacco, we probably put 30 plus points up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Flacco will cut their defense apart because he's seasoned. He knows how to read it. He's not going to see anything new. Zach is going to see some new things because he's going, like we said, left-handed quarterback makes a massive difference on the defense side. So they're going to score points. So then Zach's got to kind of go against. But then their defense is just going to throw stuff because they're used to lining up in practice against Tua, but they play to go right. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mind meld for him. I mean, some people watching might go, that's bullshit, but it's that big thing again of changing them little details are what take the longest. So, yeah, 10 for me. So that's us calling it today, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We're just trying to do our bit. We will speak to you again soon. So we'll see you later.